He will be joining us as we start. So let's start with the lightning of the lamp as Mihir is, he starts the event. Thank you very much. Okay, before we commence with our scheduled presentation, first of all, I'll take a few moments to speak about the organization, about today's event, and then I'll be inviting Dr. Sonu Siva ma'am for her one of her presentation. Is my PPT visible to all? Uh,
Yes.
okay, thank you. Okay, so first of all, on behalf of the managing committee of ERIS, the Society for Academic Research, ERIS, the International Academic Association of Researchers in Humanities, IT, Engineering, and Science. Basically, it's the brand name of the organization. It's being governed by the Society for Academic Research. I'm also glad to inform that it's our sixth year since our establishment, and we have seen this course of time as a good growth of the organization. And but unfortunately, since last year 2020, as it has been uh, quite different to all of us, to all the businesses, to all the activities. uh, Actually, the past year has sent us apart from each of us. But now, because we have been facing this COVID situations for 1 year, for past 1 year. But now, as we discussed, as Dr. Gary informed, the vaccination program is on throughout the globe, and the results of this program is very hopeful, and we think that we think and we hope the things would return to the normal soon in the coming couple of months. So first of all, on behalf of the managing committee of ERIS, I take this opportunity to thank you all for being connected with us today during one of this webinar. As I informed, in fact, we were scheduled to, to be in person for today's conference in Bangkok, but because the travel situations have not yet been improved, because since last December, the entire humanity has seen the emergence of a couple of new strains in COVID, and it has again restricted our activities. It has again halt our travel arrangements, and all the travels are almost at halt. So, but even then, we are glad that we are able to, be connected with each other, and will be really having very nice and important presentations during today's conference. So initially, actually, as since 2020, we were in the mode of conducting events in virtual mode. So we were a bit hopeful uh, in the last week of December that we'll be able to make this event in person. But because the government of Thailand has also, I mean, they have their updated advisories. So the travel to Thailand, I suppose, would be continue beyond mid of the February. So we hope our future schedule of the events would take place in person. So thank you once again on behalf of the managing committee. I welcome all the delegates, our invited speakers, our guests, our sponsors and support. Thank you so much for your valuable time to get connected with us for today's short presentation sessions. Uh, Okay, so in the following few slides, I would be able to show and explain some of the activities the organization is conducting since its very establishment, and also about some glimpses of a few past our events which we had already concluded. I'm also glad to inform that currently the organization has become a group of more than 1,000 researchers, academicians. Our different committees is comprised of uh, international delegates in the different capacities. I'm also glad to inform that we have now our review committee, which comprises of more than 1,000 international delegates coming from different academic institutions across the globe. Uh, in the following uh, slides, I'll be explaining about the organization as well. So, first of all, if I speak about the establishment and commencement of its activities, the managing committee was formed in April 2015 for the Society for Academic Research. Uh, we adopted this brand name ERIS for the organization from December 2015 onwards. The organization got registered at several level international authorities from June 2015. December 2015 was the year basically. It was the month when we had first our international conference, which was scheduled and held in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Uh, by up to the most recent, we have done 198th international events being organized so far by the organization. Since the last year, since that international travel is at halt, we have adopted to this virtual mode. But if we look beyond to that period, so I'm really very glad to share my experiences that we were able to conduct more than 170 international conferences in the short span of 5 years duration. All our events took place in person. We were able to conduct a number of events in United States. We also had some of our conferences in person in Canada. UK had been our one of our favorites place where we had done a number of events, including in Manchester, in London as well. Apart from those geographical places, we also had some of our events in Europe. Uh, Dr. Sonume was there during one of our conference, which was held in Paris, France. Uh, Apart from that, we also had we I remember in 2017 we also had one of our biggest conference which took place in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. So if we come towards eastern part of the globe, we also had successfully done some of our international conferences in Australia, Melbourne and Sydney. We also had done a few of our events in New Zealand, in Russia, in Singapore, Thailand as well. Singapore as well. So really, it's a great, I mean, honor and a great experience that we were able to, I mean, conduct such number of international conferences, and also glad that during this journey. We had been able to collaborate with some of the national governments, uh, international organizations, colleges, and universities. Really glad to inform that now ERS is, I mean, turning day by day an organization where a great number of people have been associated in different capacities. And I hope once the travel situations return to normalcy, I hope we would be again able to carry on our further scheduled events. The head office of the organization is located in Jaipur, in India, in Rajasthan. Currently, 34 plus our team members are working in different capacities. They take care of different job profiles. We have our front desk team. We have our accounts team, our legal teams, our team with schedule and I mean take care of our all our upcoming events. Apart from that, we have our peer review members. As I informed, we are really honored to have more than 1,000 international delegates associated with us in the peer review membership. Currently, the organization is running 6 international journals. Some more journals would be incorporated in this list. Actually, we wanted to incorporate these 3 journals uh, in last year, but as the situations, most part of the year had been passed through this, lockdowns, offices closed, and all. To get approved a journal, it takes like 5 to 7 months duration, uh, because there are respective international authorities who go through the journal, they check all the details and all. So the process basically is like 6 months. So because since the past year, most of the time had been, I mean, in lockdown and in the COVID situation, so it was postponed. And now I hopeful by the end of this year we'll be able to have these 3 more international journals with us. I'm also pleased and glad to inform that the 6 international journals which are already in our publishing list, they have very good impact factor. A couple of journals have been given 6 plus impact factors. We have SGIF impact factor ratings, and really we are very glad that we basically publish all those fresh and genuine researches which we receive through our international conferences. We do not accept external researches. Only those researches are published with priority, where our international delegates are coming to join our conferences and presenting their respective papers. Uh, if I speak about the organization, as I informed, it's basically a non-profit forum and association of researchers in the field of humanities, information technology, engineering, and science. Uh, uh, the main objective behind establishing the organization is to prepare and provide a strongest platform to the researchers at international level, from where the researchers can come and present their genuine researches to the growing sector of education. As I informed, we have different committees. First of all, if I speak about our international advisory committee members, we have a great number of delegates associated with us in this capacity. Dr. Sonu Shiva ma'am is already there with us. Dr. Rustam Vansu is there. He is from Bangkok as well, from Srinagar University. Dr. Krisencha ma'am is there, Momodo Ba, Dr. Ritu Sharma, Professor Alexander Fedorovsky. If you remember, I suppose Professor Alexander was there with us during past one of our webinar. He presented a very remarkable paper during the webinar. We have a list of our keynote speakers as well. So whenever we used to have our in-person conferences, even during our webinars, I'm really glad to inform that we had very continued support and association from Dr. Gary Blair from Manchester Metropolitan University, Manchester, UK. He had been available to each of our call. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Apart from that, I'm also glad to inform Professor Dr. Laura Christas. She had also accepted our proposal to be as one of our keynote speaker. She had also delivered a couple of keynote speeches during our conferences. Dr. Sonu Shiva ma'am had already presented a few keynote speeches during our conferences. Professor Dr. Manoj Airy is also there. He's also from Srinagar University from Bangkok, Thailand. Professor Dr. A.R. Ali, he is associated with American University of Sharjah, United Arab Emirates. We had been, Dr. Professor Ali had also presented some of his keynote speeches. Professor Bruce Bidgood from Canada, he had also presented a couple of presentations as keynote speeches. Dr. Rawa Abullavi, whom we invite also, and she is also, all the time ready to, spare her time to for the keynote addresses during any of our conferences we schedule and organize. It will be very difficult for me to put all those 1,000 plus review members details here, but a few slides I have captured from our website. More details on our peer review members can be taken from our official website as well. It's www.eris.org. Some of them have been placed here. uh, we also keep up updating our review member list details as well on our website, because throughout the year we are able to receive profiles from across the globe, from the academicians, industrialists, from different other sectors. People are quite, eager to associate themselves with us as the review members. And we are also very glad that we have such a big a vast number of people associated with us pertaining to different subject areas. So whenever we receive a particular piece of abstract paper, so we have these different subject based teams basically. So pertaining to the nature of the received abstract or paper, we share that particular piece of writing to our review committees for their further comments. And based on the comments of our review members, we accept, we reject, or we send back the proposal if any correction or some updation is short on part of the review members. So it's a double blind review process basically, which we have adopted for this review process for each of the paper basically we receive for any of our conferences. We also have a user-friendly website. As I informed, it's eris.org. It's a user-friendly, informative with the latest features of live chat. This is one of the function which we have very recently added to our website. And I'm also glad to inform that the website's live chat facilities are available 24 into 7 into 365. So uh, uh, maybe the recently we are not able to update some of the features, because we were still waiting for the updates in travel advisories and all, because maybe we were very much enthusiastic, or we got excited that we'll be able to carry on our conferences from Bangkok events onwards in person. So but unfortunately, because the things have not yet turned up to that level that we can schedule and organize our events in person. So I hope in a short period of time in the coming week, once again our technical team will review the website and they will be updating all the informations which have not yet been updated. Uh, also our website offers the details on all of our past conferences which we held, the status of events in the coming time. We also have updated photo galleries, links to the publications as well. Those are the journals and proceedings websites. In the website you can also find members area. When I say user friendly, so I mean that our website also offers the online submission system. All of the delegates who have visited our websites, basically they submit their abstract or paper. It's an easy process. You simply need to click on the submit the abstract, and a very simple form pops up, and while providing the simple short of information, the abstract or the full paper can be submitted. Our front desk is available to respond to all the email queries as well. Our official email address is frontdesk@earis.org. Our secondary email address is info@earis.org as well. It's year-wise growth of the organization. So I won't take much longer time because our uh, if you can see here, as I informed, we started in the year of 2015. We had 4 conferences. In the coming year, we had 24. Then we had 29 international conferences in 2017. Uh, in 2018 we were able to schedule 26 international conferences. Total papers in that year we received is more than 600 plus. So in this way we have, this is I mean year wise growth of the organization. It's updated up to the month of December. uh, as I informed, since the last year, as we have adopted to the virtual mode, because we have to follow, all the advisories which have been issued by the different governments, and uh, at the different country level where we had schedule of our international conferences. So, but even in this situation, we had continued our activities. I'm also glad to share that. Very minimum number of the events were there which we were not able to, I mean, carry on, which we had to cancel, because this was the time of last year's February and March month, where the things were not clear. By that time it was felt that maybe we'll be able to cover up this COVID situation in 1 month, 2 months. So only in February and March, a couple of our events were cancelled. But apart from that, when we realized that no, the COVID is not going to disappear in a moment, rather it's going to be a part of our, I mean, day-to-day life. So we adopted immediately to this virtual mode, and we continued. And I'm really glad to share that we were able to receive even grant support from the presenters. We were also glad that we had one of our collaborated event during this phase of time. Even then we were able to, I mean, collaborate with one of this organization from Philippines. Dr. Crescentia would be here. So I would be grateful to all her team that we were able to carry on in virtual mode to conclude those events as well. And apart from that, whatever conferences we had in our schedule, we carried on in virtual mode, and we successfully concluded a number of events, even in COVID situations. And in this way, I mean, the delegates were at a free hand. They were at the safest distance. They were able to present from the distance of their house, from their respective homes. And I mean, really, it's a kind of experiences. So really, we were able to receive such a grand support from all of the presenters throughout this duration. These are some of the glimpses. I suppose this is one of the click taken from one of our collaborated event with Philippines teams. So apart from those clicks, we have some photos here of our in-person international conferences which we had during past for 5 years duration. I'm also glad to share that ERIS frequently organizes its award distribution ceremonies. I remember we had one of our award distribution ceremony in Mumbai in India. So we were able to give recognition to the grand work accomplished by different academicians at different levels, and we were really very much pleased to distribute those awards to the different delegates. There are some images here. As I informed, we had very frequent international conferences in London, in Toronto, Canada, in New Delhi, India, New York in United States, in Jaipur, India as well, in Bangkok, Thailand, in Jaipur again. We also had a few events in collaboration with some of the government colleges here in India. So uh, we had done so far more than 5 international conferences in collaboration with different government colleges, where really received a great number of research papers during 2 to 3 days time duration. We were able to host more than 300, 400 research papers during each of these international events. We had our schedule of events in London from 2016 onwards. This is a few clicks from one of our international conference which we had with the government RR College. It's situated in Alwar. This is the 75th international conference we held in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. We also had a collaboration with the Glaudent University in Washington DC. We had very remarkable one of our international conference in support of Glaudent University in Washington DC as well. We also had done a couple of events uh, in St. Petersburg in Russia as well. Uh, at different, this is one of the images of one of our international conference in Glaudent University in Washington DC. The details on all our upcoming events can be taken from our official website. Maybe this page is not updated here. Okay, here. So we hope March onwards we'll be again able to schedule and organize these events in person. So time to time, the information on all of our upcoming events are updated on our website as well. As I informed, the organization has its different publication facilities as well. These are 6 international journals. But apart from these international journals, very recently, from the past couple of years, we had been giving our platform to those researchers, those academicians who wish to get published their books. I'm really glad to share that our organization has been able to provide its platform to different colleges, to different individual authors, where they have come up with their manuscripts, and we have given those manuscripts a form of the book. And so far, I'm really glad to inform that we have published more than 7 international books so far. A few, I suppose, I have here in this slide. Okay. Yeah, very recently we had this. This book is only in Hindi language. Only the title is in Hindi, but apart from a few papers in Hindi language, this book contains 27 research papers. Most of the papers are really very remarkable manuscripts, basically written by uh, the various academicians from one of the leading college in Rajasthan. Three papers are in Hindi, and rest of the 24, I suppose, 24 chapters in this book have been in English language, and most of them are on COVID situations, how the country had been able to deal with this crisis, and how they managed to, I mean, carry on the academic system and all that. So apart from this book, we also had published one of our book in Sanskrit titled as Panchratram by one of the leading author, Dr. Manmohan Sen. Apart from publishing these books, as we also publish our ISBN conference proceedings dedicated to each and every conference. So basically, whatever paper we receive for a particular conference, they are put in the form of the conference proceedings, and it is shared with the delegates as well. And these books are also put online, and the full manuscripts which have been accepted through our review process, the full manuscripts are further published to our international journals, which have really very nice impact factors. The current year is very nice to all of our journals have 6.5 plus impact factors. These are some of the front pages of our ISBN proceedings, which we have published in the past course of time. We have our collaboration with the different organizations, as I informed already during last few slides. We can reach our contact details is also updated on our website. Once again, thank you so much, all of you, for being a valuable part of today's event. Thank you so much. I hope still some of the delegates have not yet connected with us. I hope they would be able to be connect with us in the course of time. Meanwhile, without taking any further moment, I'm glad to invite Dr. Sonu Siva ma'am for her key address for today's conference. Sonu ma'am, thank you so much.
Thank you, Hardev,
Thank
for
you.
giving us this nice platform of for sharing our researches, our ideas, our whatever we love to talk about. This gives a nice platform to all of us across the world. So this is really good for us that you've given such an elaborate talk about the journals that we publish and how EREs basically works.
Thank you. Thank you.
And today's presentation is my presentation is on critical thinking, and it's really nice to have teachers and trainers and students with us over here, because this skills, critical thinking skill, is utmost required for all of us, whether we are graduate students or for the postgraduate students, we are dealing with students or scholars. When they come to us, they ask us that up till now we have just written our college assignments, and we don't know how to write research, or we don't know how to upgrade our thinking skills. So that's the reason why I took this topic, critical thinking. I think I'm going to share the screen first. Is my screen visible to all now? My PowerPoint, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible. Can you please maximize it so that it will be, I mean, in the entire
Okay.
screen?
Is it
Yes,
fine
fine.
now?
It's fine, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
So this idea, it is a talk with my friend Agnieszka, who is an e-learning instructor in the University of Oregon. And whatever we talked about, I've tried to put this in this slide form with all credit to her too for this. It's really important and beneficial for all of us as well as our students. And that's why I have framed this basically I'll be giving you examples from my classroom teaching, because basically I deal in English. So, this critical thinking can be applied to all subjects. Now, what basically critical thinking is, it's an intellectually disciplined process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing, or evaluating information gathered from or generated by observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication as a guide to belief and action. In its exemplary form, it's based on universal intellectual values that transcend subject matter divisions: clarity, accuracy, precision, consistency, relevance, sound evidence, good reason, depth, breadth, and fairness. So this is basically a definition of what critical thinking is. And I've found that we as teachers, when we face our students in the class, our students usually talk from the level of their knowledge and from the level of comprehension. We as teachers, we need to make our students apply their findings, and they should have higher critical thinking level. I won't talk in detail about Bloom's taxonomy, but it's very important that they start analyzing things, and what synthesis is and how to evaluate certain things. Unless they don't know this, it's very difficult for them to write with the higher thinking order. Now, what do we mean by thinking critically? Thinking critically is a self-guided, self-disciplined thinking which attempts to reason at the highest level of quality in a fair-minded way. So it means high level of quality in a fair-minded way. I don't claim that any position is a neutral position, but still the whole aim is to be very fair. And you just can't teach anyone critical thinking in just one day, or there's not any course that is planned. Rather, we can apply this critical thinking to the subject that we are teaching in the classroom. People who think critically consistently attempt to live rationally, reasonably, and empathetically. This critical thinking makes us more logical and empathetic. That's very important, to see from other person's dimension, and we come to know that, see, there is not one interpretation of certain thing, but there are multiple interpretations from various perspectives. So this needs a lot of practice. They are keenly aware of inherently flawed nature of human thinking when left unchecked. And we all know that once you just leave your mind into free thinking and unchecked, there can be many flaws in our thinking directions. And especially we as researchers, when we are guiding our students into research, we need to tell them that they need to substantiate, they need to really authenticate whatever they are thinking, and has to be a logical, organized perspective. They work diligently to develop intellectual virtues of intellectual integrity, intellectual humility, intellectual civility, intellectual empathy, intellectual sense of justice, and confidence in reason. So all these things, they develop in people when they start thinking critically. They strive to diminish the power of the egocentric and social-centric tendencies. Usually we, as thinkers, when we try to interpret something, we usually tend to fall in a trap of our egocentric nature. I believe in certain thing because it's like my view of certain thing. And sometimes our thinking is shaped by the society around us. So critical thinking makes a person to diminish this overpowering of egocentrism and social-centric tendencies. It represents the journey towards self-knowledge and achievement of higher potential as human being. So as one polishes oneself into this critical thinking habits, we know that it takes us to a highest potential of being a human, and this leads us to self-knowledge, and we come to know what exactly our thought process is and how we are interpreting or how we are evaluating certain things. The vision is that we collectively become better communicators and more peaceful and just in our interactions with each other, in our communities and among nations. The verdict is on ideal of an entire critical thinking society. Now, this is something very huge. I know that this idealistic condition cannot happen, that the whole society or the whole world becomes comes to that level of critical thinking. But I think that if we start practicing this, it's going to really improve our interactions with each other. And this is going to be really helpful within communities, or when there's a talk between nations. The verdict is on ideal society, but I know that idealism in a totality is just impossible, but it's just a way to achieve that level. Now, how to do this critical thinking in a classroom? It starts with us. So we as teachers or we as instructors, we need to do this critical thinking in the class. When we analyze things in front of our students, when we practice it in the classroom, I think that the students get benefit from that. Designing instruction that offers students more opportunities for systematic practice of critical thinking. The instruction, the class should be designed in such a manner. The tasks that we give our students, these tasks, we should make our students think, and the tasks should be framed in such a manner that the students do a particular form of critical thinking. Either they are analyzing something, or they are synthesizing, or they are evaluating. Improvement in critical thinking takes time, takes patience, perseverance, and humility. So if we think that just by taking 2 or 4 classes, critical thinking is going to happen among our students, we should remember that it takes a lot of patience and it takes time, and we should make it as a habit in our classroom teaching. It can be a powerful tool for increasing awareness about what and how one thinks, and transformative in a sense that it provides one with the choice of repairing weak or unreasonable thinking and becoming less rigid and attached to notions that may be outdated, close-minded, or simply untrue. So somewhere, this critical thinking habit, it improvises our thinking. It makes us think that our thinking can be unreasonable or outdated or close-minded at times. And here I would like to give example from my class, where I gave my students a task that they are lost in the jungle, and what 5 things do they require according to priority to come out of that place. And the students, they were coming up with a lot of things. Some students say that they need a knife, and some said they need a gun, and all these things. And then we were discussing, the logic of the things, that why do you put this in the priority? Why do you need a knife? And why do you put this before, a map or a compass? So these things, when students, when they discuss these things, they realize that at times we are looking at certain thing with a close-mindedness, and this sort of a discussion in the class, it repairs an unreasonable thinking. So this was just as an example. We can apply it to our own subjects. In planning lessons, teachers who think critically are better at discerning parts or points in the instruction that are unclear, insignificant, perhaps even irrelevant to their teaching objectives. So whenever we approach a class, what I personally believe is that our objective should be absolutely clear in our mind, and we should remove all those insignificant and unclear things, because there is a possibility that there is a huge deviation in our teaching topic, and we as teachers should be very much aware that what exactly needs to be imparted to the students in that particular point of time. See through the content of what they are teaching to the type of thinking that students could practice to actually learn the content more deeply. So we as teachers, the onus lies on us that we need to see the content and the type of thinking that is required for that content. Sometimes they need to observe it, sometimes they need to analyze it. So all this, they need to think more critically about it. So what exactly do we require our students to do? That should be very much clear in our mind as teachers. And they can design and scaffold activities that target particular thinking skills and attitudes to give students practice in not only using the target language, but going another step and using that language to reflect on the logic of the content and the logic of their own thinking about that content. Here, I would like to focus on this word scaffold. If we give our students any task as an individual, perhaps they'll hesitate, or perhaps they won't be able to discuss that much. Teachers, the best scaffold that we can offer to our students is that we can put them into small groups, and there they get to practice not just the language, because me as a language teacher, I give them practices in language. So my target is not only that they become refined, they learn this English language more, but that's a way to give them a content also, and there they can practice the logic of the content, and they can reflect upon how they are thinking about that content. So students need to talk more, they need to think more about whatever content that is given to them. Individual becomes better readers, writers, speakers, listeners as they become proficient in critical thinking, and they develop that skill in using language as they improve their ability to think and make sense of the world. So both the things are connected, critical thinking as well as language. If they are able to think critically better, they will be better readers, writers, and speakers and listeners. And that applies to all students across discipline. Assessing critical thinking. A new language for systematically and clearly explaining strengths and weaknesses in reasoning and giving students more clear and precise comments about how to improve. So friends, feedback is very important. One needs to clearly explain the strength and weakness. and whatever students have responded to. And they should have a clear comment from the teacher's side how to improve in their skills. Frequently pepper with questions that invite students to reconsider and further polish ideas and reflect on how they got them in the first place. The best thing is to question them. You need to talk to them. You need to just give them questions so that their process, the thinking process starts, and then their ideas get polished when they are questioned one after another, and then they need to reflect that how they got a particular idea in that place. So just like a book in mathematics, it's not like you look at the sum and then you look at the answer in the back. The whole process of solving that sum is important. So in the same way, students need to know that how they are getting a particular conclusion, and in this process, how is very important. The conversation between teacher and learner isn't limited to just the superficial correct and incorrect, which often does not have much effect on learner. So if teacher just says to the students, oh, okay, this interpretation is absolutely incorrect, or this is absolutely right, especially when we ask our students to just introduce their friend to us, and they say, he's a good friend of mine. Now, I do ask them, what do we mean by good? There's not just one word, good or bad. There's so many adjectives that you can use, and there has to be a logic. Why are you calling him in by this sort of an adjective? So there is the reason behind correct and incorrect, and just by going with this correct and incorrect word does not have much effect on the learner. There is an inextricable link between language skills and thinking. If our thinking is vague, our speaking and writing will reflect the fog. So thinking is very important, be it any subject. If the thinking is unclear, the fog will be reflected in our speaking, in our writing skills. If we do not listen attentively, read carefully, our thinking about a topic will be piecemeal. So for whole understanding, for complete understanding of something, one needs to have that level of understanding so that one gets to use it when one is writing and when one is speaking. It increases students' awareness and challenges them to rethink language structures, concepts related to culture, and to question their own assumption and inferences. So whenever they are doing this critical thinking, when the teacher instigates them, when the teacher asks certain questions, students become aware and they become challenged that they not only they're thinking about the type of language, because I'm from English teaching. So they not only just reflect upon the language structures, rather they also need to think about the culture and how they are assuming certain things and how do they infer upon certain things. Now, here are some classroom strategies that we can adopt. Teachers need to become models of thinking, that I've already said, that they need to model before the students, just as they are models, language speakers. We must be willing to share our thinking, not just ideas, but how we arrive at these ideas, and to show students how thinking can be done well and where it can be improved. So just giving your own analysis about certain things is not important. How is very important. Students must know that if we are explaining them certain thing, how did we arrive at these conclusions? So if they know the process of our evaluation, of our analysis, and how we bring a lot of things from outside world also in the class, and we try to tap into their past schema, their understanding of the things. So this, how, when it is done, it can really improve our students' thinking skills. Need to guide students to practicing certain certain critical thinking skills, such as identifying relevant and irrelevant, reliable and unreliable information. This is very important when students, they are doing research, for the literature survey or for their other gathering of the information, sometimes they gather too much of irrelevant material, which does not absolutely connect to any of their researchers. So they really need to have those critical thinking skills so that they are able to identify what is relevant for them, what is irrelevant for them, and what is reliable, what is authentic, and what is inauthentic information, because net is also full of so much of information from all types, and the students need to, with their analysis, they need to know which one is authentic and which one is reliable. Talking explicitly about critical thinking. Its importance in our day-to-day life, example, when we listen to the news or watch a film, or when we argue with a friend or a family member, help to bring this concept into students' life and make it relevant. So if the students say how this critical thinking is important to us, I would say that this thinking skill is important to us in day-to-day life, even when we are watching film or we are just talking to a friend or a family member. Everything needs to be logical and needs to be polished in such a manner that this critical thinking skills help a person to present oneself in the best possible manner. Words such as analysis, assumptions, implications, and conclusions, precision, fairness, and consistency should be clearly defined at the beginning of the term and used on regular basis in teaching and assessing. So if the students are clear about these words, what do we mean by analysis? How do we assume certain things? What do we mean by implication, and what is fairness? So if they know meaning of these words, how to be precise, how to use lesser words. For example, if we complete certain tasks, we give them a 3-sentence wrap up. Okay, just tell me, what did you do in the class today? And if they are able to do that quite precisely, they can be directed to their thinking skills. And this is going to really help them. Teachers should write critical thinking objectives and goals that are explicitly communicated to students, so they know right away that beside language-related growth, there are also expectations that will simultaneously work on becoming more reasonable thinkers. So the basic thing is that teachers should have that objective in mind about critical thinking. So it's especially when they are learning language, it's not just about language learning, it's also about how they can become more reasonable thinkers. So if you are dealing with other subjects also, it's not just the knowledge about that subject that is important, the critical thinking that is required, how this thing happens or how this thing is done, that is equally important for our students. Regular reflection on thinking and attitude is the key, requiring some journaling or other. This I keep on telling my students, that you maintain journal, you maintain a diary, you listen to a lot of things, you read certain things, and at the end of the day, start writing your impression about whatever you have read or whatever you have come across, so that this becomes a habit. And when a person reflects on certain things regularly, regular reflection or thinking attitude is the key of this thing. And then finally, a person is able to see improvement in his own thinking skills as one just looks back in the diary and sees, okay, my analysis was of this level when I started, and slowly as I have developed this journal further, you come to know that your thinking skills and your expressions and your analysis have improved with time. Forms of debriefing after certain activities or assignments and focusing their reflection on the type of thinking that they did and their attitudes and dispositions, such as open-mindedness or empathy, give students a chance to build that self-correcting, self-monitoring, and self-discipline muscle directly related to critical thinking. So students should get a chance to self-correct themselves, to self-monitor, and self-discipline in the form of thinking. Just as I gave you the example of, the 3-sentence wrap-up, the moment we finish the class and we ask students to just say what did they learn in this class in just 3 sentences. So when they listen to themselves, what exactly they are saying, and then that gives them an opportunity to self-correct and self-monitor. And this is related to critical thinking. Asking meaningful questions and allowing students to develop their own question each other and themselves as much as possible is the key. Questions are the catalyst to thinking. Without catalyst, a reaction can stop, the mind stagnates. That I've already said, that questions are not the teacher asking them questions. Students should also ask questions to each other so that a lot of thinking is generated in the class. Group discuss, group solve problems, group make decisions, and group gather and present information. In all these cases, critical thinking practice is possible because wherever there is language written, spoken, heard, read, there's a chance to think deeply about its structure, function, meaning, logic, etc. So when students are working in group, when they are discussing in group, when they are trying to solve problems in group, and wherever they are using language, whether it's in the written form or whether it's in the spoken form, this gives them an opportunity to think about certain thing in a logical and meaningful manner. Now, these two types of learning, project-based learning and inquiry-based learning, these two types of learning also help students in improving critical thinking styles. It's a dynamic approach to teaching in which students explore real world problems and challenges. With this type of active, engaged learning, students are inspired to obtain deeper knowledge of the subjects they are studying. So if you give them projects on their syllabi, so this is going to make them actively engage in learning process, and they try to find certain deeper things, and this is going to be beneficial for them. Inquiry-based learning, which begins with questions and information gathering, is also an approach that goes naturally with critical thinking development. This approach can be used both with individuals as well as group. Here, the aim is not arriving at the correct answer, but an appropriate one or two given the content that is being investigated. So inquiry-based learning. When students, they approach certain things, the important thing that is over here is that students are not searching for the correct answer. There can be one or two or more answers to certain things. So inquiry-based learning is to gather information, and this helps in critical thinking abilities. The ability to tolerate, and I tell that this point is very important for the researchers, the ability to tolerate ambiguity and accept that there are many instances in life where there is no one right answer. The real challenge for many students, young and older, working collaboratively in teams or groups to better understand or solve current, real, relevant issues and problems is a terrific platform for the use of deeper reasoning skills. Questioning our own assumptions and investigating our values about the issue, delving into a wide array of perspectives and trying to fairly evaluate each, that is step in other person's shoes, searching for important information and making sure our conclusions are based on sound evidence. We know that in research also, there is not just one aspect of looking at a certain thing. One can look at certain problem or issue from multiple directions, and this ambiguity which lies there, students need to tolerate that, and empathy is very much needed. And this, if they polish themselves into this skill, no research is like closed, rather it's open-ended. It again gives opportunity to so many scholars across the world to build their own researches on that. So this thing, it really helps. If you are a good critical thinker, you are going to know that the research is a collaborative work where you are doing, and then it is a fountainhead for the other scholars also. So this also gives you a thing that you can start questioning your own assumption and investigating our values about the issues. You need to know that how you are coming to some sort of a result, and how you need to investigate your own thinking skills. So this is important. Then you have case studies. Similarly, are also very effective at raising students' awareness of different perspectives, developing their own fair-mindedness and tolerance for both opposing viewpoints, as well as tolerance for ambiguity, specifically in case studies that deal with big issues that are never black or white and cannot be solved using either A or B. So in case studies also, you just cannot apply one formula to solve certain things. And as we know that life also is not in black and white. There are so many gray shades in it. So this critical thinking style, case studies, if they're given to practice this makes them aware of different perspectives, and they can develop their own fair-mindedness. Thank you so much for your patient listening. I hope that this presentation of mine is beneficial for us as teachers and the students who are listening over here. I'd not
Thank you
take.
so much for such a valuable presentation. I'm sure it's going to be very helpful. I'm also glad to share that we are also live on our Facebook page. We will take the questions on Sonu ma'am's presentation as well. But before that, I would also like to invite Dr. Dinar Nepatulong for her presentation. So the questions will be taken after completion of this presentation as well. Ma'am. Uh,
Then it was great presentation, Dr. Shiva. Very nice hearing you.
Thank
So
you. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Are able to hear you. Before that, I would like to introduce Dr. Nad Nepatlong, Doctor of Philosophy in Educational Administration. She is from Ramkhamhaeng University, Bangkok, Thailand. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yes, today I'm going to be presenting the study of mindfulness effect on general self-efficacy. Let me check the microphone for one moment. Okay, since the mindfulness has been a paradox in the Western study, we have conducted a mindfulness study effect on the self-efficacy based on the Thai Life Compass training. So, one moment, I'm trying to share the. Okay. Can you see my
Yes,
screen?
ma'am. We are able to see entire your screen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, today I'll be talking about the study of general self-efficacy of Thai Life Compass training. The purpose of the study was to investigate the effect of mindfulness training on general self-efficacy beliefs. Using the study of Thai Life Compass training as a base, the mindfulness has been a paradox in psychology research because although it was in the Buddhist spiritual principle, but most research was on mindfulness in its Western implementation, including its use as a corporate tool. So this study has been based on the religious and ethical belief that play a significant role in the mindfulness studies here. However, we study this on the Thai Life Compass training. It's a structured program. It's a 2 days program, and we tested the effects of the mindfulness on self-efficacy in Eastern audience. However, the emphasis was on family relationship, spiritualities, and balance, rather than the rationalist set of intentions and attitudes as we always seen in the Western mindfulness test. One possible psychology effect of mindfulness meditation is on self-efficacy. So we have been studying this, that how one will believe that one can accomplish the task with more mindfulness training. So this we have been studying on the literatures, many literatures. So many literatures have viewed that the mindfulness can help individual overcome negative thoughts and self-judgment, as well as providing tools to better understand and regulate emotional outcomes. The investigation of participants in mindfulness meditation program showed improved general self-efficacy to be one of a suite of the beneficial psychological outcomes. Another study in our literature review, also conducted on students in the United States, show the outcomes that mindfulness has significant effects as well. So the mindfulness skills identified in this study were describing emotional and psychological states, acting with awareness and non-judgmental acceptance of self and others. So the methodology of the research that we used was the pre-test and post-test design, which was chosen to investigate the change in self-efficacy over the course of the program. The questionnaires collected data on the general self-efficacy before and after the intervention, which was a regularly scheduled 2-day intensive Thai Life Compass course. The data was collected during the tour of the Thai Life Compass seminar, which was run regularly. The population of interest were participants of the Thai Life Compass seminar. They were voluntary, self-funded for the program. So it was a 2-day course that was conducted in a neutral area. normally in the conference hall of a hotel. The data was collected using an online site which participants could access using their smartphone or laptops, and we measure based on the Oxford Happiness Questionnaires and the Guide for Constructing Self-Efficacy Scales. The data was also collected about the participants' experience in the 15 tasks. All variables were measured using the 5 points Likert scales. Analysis was conducted with SPSS, which was selected because of its reliability and its integration with the online data collection on site. Analysis included a pair t-test and multiple regression, and it was conducted both at the program level and at the stage level. The significance was assessed at the p less than 0.05 level. And also the finding and the finding of this hypothesis is that the pre-intervention of self-efficacy was M equal 2.90. It has turned out to be significant. So the highest effect that we tested was based on the power of love and happiness, followed by the release of pain and past. However, the building your bright future stage came last, but still it was tested as significant. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Dr. Sa. Thank you, Dr. Shiva. I really hope that I will get to meet you when you come to Bangkok, or I can visit you in India. It was
Yeah.
really an honor to meet both of you here.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, first of all, for such a valuable presentation. Thank you so much. Really, also, I'm sorry for all, these problems, because we were scheduled to come right over there, but, due to the recent situations. But hope very soon we'll be able to make this in Bangkok, and we'll certainly be glad to invite you during our conference in Bangkok. And also, in the coming time, because now in India the colleges are already open, academic institutions, the government has issued their advisories that now the education and academic institutes can remain open. So they have started the academic activities, and I hope we are also, I mean, in plan to have one of our collaborated events in the local institutions here. So we'll certainly be glad if we'll be able to ever welcome you in India during one of our conferences. Thank you so much once again. Okay,
Definitely.
so I'll
Really look
invite
forward to
rest of our participants to, if they have any questions. Dr. Denard is here for your answers. Thank you.
Dr. Denard, I'm really impressed by your presentation, because you talked about that about the survey and about the things that you have conducted with people. I just hope I was there to fill your questionnaire and all, to see my way of living. And yours is such a you can say that it I really want to be there and conduct these things on myself. And it's really interesting to see that you have done with people and doing the tests on people about that. So nice presentation. And it will be more interesting if I see that in person.
So we look forward
Things
to
about
seeing
happiness, things about my level of certain things. And self-knowledge, and I need to know more about myself talking to you.
So please consider yourself having a friend in Thailand.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
So see you later. See you soon.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Namaste. So okay, so we proceed further with our next presentation. Uh, I'm pleased to invite Ms. Joy V. D. Guzman. She will be also presenting her topic on factors affecting vocational interest and course preference of GSS Grade 7, Basic for Program Enhancement. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your.
Yes po. Yes po. Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. So let me introduce myself. I am currently connected at the Department of Education Philippines. So here in Tansa National Trade School. So one of the technical vocational school here in Cavite. So we only have three tech book schools. So we have ASHI, GMATS, and then I am currently teaching at Tansa National Trade School. So let me share my screen. So about factors affecting the title of our basic research. Can you see the
Yes,
presentation,
ma'am.
sir?
We can see very clearly, please.
Okay, thank you. So, the title of the basic research is about factors affecting vocational interest and course preference of junior high school, grade 7, basis for program enhancement. So, it has been observed that there is a need for investigation about the vocational interest and course preference of the grade 7 student because some of the courses or the field of specialization has been dissolved. So due to lack of potential interest among the students. So example, we have building construction before, so year 2016, but as the current year, it already dissolved. So effective teaching is perceived more than just mastery of the subject matter. It requires giving total consideration of the factors. So let me share my second screen. Ah, F5. Okay. Okay, so effective teaching is perceived more than just mastery of the subject matter, so it requires giving total consideration to all the factors which impinge upon the whole teaching and learning process. So there are 35 sections in grade 7 junior high school consisting of 2,092 students. So this research used cluster sampling. Specifically, the researcher used multi-stage sampling. So 5 sections were selected randomly, and among these sections, 30 students were selected as sample using convenient sampling. So the computed p-value or probability value is 0.140 is greater than the alpha level, zero point zero 0.05 we accept null hypothesis. So there is no significant relationship between the personality traits and the factors affecting the course preference or choice of the course preference of the student. So we have now the additional, because of this research, so it is recommended for the management or the administration to add the in-demand courses, or which is the more likely one wants to enroll by the grade 7 student. We have now animation, visual graphics, and then bookkeeping. So these three were were among the recommended courses they need. So it would be great help, or it would be helpful for them to take these courses because they are useful in ABM when they're going to take the senior high school or the academic tracks, and in other aspects, especially for innovation and for work. So vocational interests reflect the degree of which individual prefers certain course choices which may be common for various positions. So according to J. Holland, so the most famous theory of vocational interest, so which posits there are 6 types of interest for classifying both individuals and environments: realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. So the acronym stands RIASEC. Okay, for the last, the great responsibility of upgrading the competency of an educational system lies on the teachers. So as people say, quality education in any country depends upon the quality of the teachers. So that's all po that I can share about my basic research. Thank you po. Additional po, so social media can be also an effective tool for teaching and learning, so that can help connect students to information and help them generate a dialogue with their teachers and other students with the topics. So that's why the interest of the students, especially the grade 7, it's all about the animation, computer system servicing, so visual graphics, so which is already added in our courses. So in the tech book school. Okay po. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yusufi. That was nice. You talked about so many new things that you have introduced with seventh grade students. Uh, Here also in our new education policy, government is trying to introduce certain vocational courses for school students also, and this really helps them, right from that tender age. They are able to build up their own interest in a particular area. So and it also enhances their learning of other subjects also, because then the school becomes more interesting for them. So very nice that the things are happening over there at such a junior level.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much. So, okay, can you please close the screen share, stop share screen so that, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you po. Thank you.
So, thank you so much again for your valuable presentation. Now, I suppose is SV, sorry, Unica C. Giurbano is there with us? Maybe no. Uh, okay,
She's not with here, sir. She's
okay, okay. So thank you once again all. Actually, as I informed, we have scheduled this short sessions on our those pending presentations. Once again, I take this opportunity to thank you all for your valuable time. I know it's very late in Philippines. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Miss Joy,
yes.
for your
Yes. Thank
wonderful
you. Thank
presence and presentation. Uh, Thank you so much. Thank you all who have connected with us. The recording and the presentation certificates will also be shared through the email. Madam, can you please type your email address, or we'll share it through Dr. Christie, ma'am?